Hello friends, this is Cara-Renee with B.Reborn Art and Healing. Today I'm working on an 8x8 wood panel, creating this beautiful grateful piece. These are some of the supplies that I was planning on using. I did not end up using everything that you see, which is pretty normal for me. This was also a real-time video, which I did end up voicing over, so that's why you're going to see me talking with my hands a lot. So again, I did grab a handful of Sean Petit stencils, which I intended to use. I didn't use all of them. I do use the fall words and the word grateful, this dictionary page stencil, vintage crosses, and this is one that I had intended to use the door as a focal point, but ended up not using it in the end. I was pretty satisfied with the background once I got to that stage, and so I didn't feel like it needed that extra element. These are some jelly prints from my stash that I'm going to be using, as well as an old dictionary page. So I'm going to go ahead and apply my background papers with my Liquitex matte medium, and I'm just going to let you watch that process. And with my stenciling here. So I'm going to be using Sean Petit's dictionary page stencil, and I'm focusing on the definition for joy here on this piece, placing it in various parts of the panel. I chose the joy because I really feel like joy and gratitude kind of go hand in hand. I believe that if you're grateful, you're going to have joy, and if you're joyful, you're going to be grateful. So I'll be writing about that, or I have written about that for my Sunday's Art of Truth, which you can see. You can hop on over to my blog at B.Rebornart.com and read up on the inspiration for this piece if you'd like. I'm also using the vintage crosses here, as you can see, and my black archival ink. I am going to use a little bit of alcohol on a baby wipe and rub some of that off just to, it's pretty bold. That black is really bold. And so I am able to pull up some of that ink and some of that paint with my baby wipe with a little bit of alcohol. I'm going to come in with Spiced Pumpkin. This is a Deco Art Americana paint. The other one was a beige, kind of a caramel color. I did not end up using that. I'm only using the Spiced Pumpkin as it turns out. So what I'm going to try to do here is create yet another layer of texture, because my intention is to do some reverse stenciling here in a little while. So I want to create a lot of visual interest in the background that's going to peek through when I do that reverse stenciling. So I'm coming in with the Spiced Pumpkin and then with some gesso and mixing those together on the piece, just to create some visual interest on the piece, as well as some more color in the background. It doesn't really matter how this is applied. I just chose a palette knife this time. Sometimes I use my fingers, a paintbrush. Doesn't really matter. You can kind of play around with whatever suits you. Sometimes I like to get my fingers dirty and sometimes I don't. So this was meant to be a really quick project, so I didn't want to get too involved. I just wanted to have a good time and get something done a little bit quicker than normal. This is a better description. So at first I was just going to do the Mediterranean stencil here or just in parts of the canvas. I did end up changing my mind and doing this design over the entire panel. I was intending to use the small door stencil, as I mentioned earlier in the video. But once I was done with this step, I really liked the result and I didn't feel like it needed anything else. And so I went ahead and stopped at that point, which is when I decided to go ahead and do this stenciling continuously over the whole panel. So that's what you see me doing there. I love the reverse stenciling because you can see all the layers of background just in those little segments of the spaces that the stencil leaves. So it is a really cool effect. It's super easy and it always has kind of a really surprising effect. You never really know what you're going to get because you don't know what's going to peek through that stencil and underneath that green paint. So it's a great technique. I learned that from Sean Petit, as I learned much of what I currently do in mixed media. So there you go. It's just beautiful. And there I'm just showing you a close-up of the stenciling that I did with the archival ink and that dictionary page, as well as my jelly prints that are showing through and the paint and gesso that I applied as a layer. I'm going to come in with my 12 by 16 script Fave Words 2, I believe is what it's called. Again, I will be sure to link it in the supply list. I had originally pulled out the smaller version or a different Grateful Word, excuse me. But I decided to go bigger once I had determined I wasn't going to use the door stencil as a focal point. So I'm using my black archival ink to stencil on that large word but I actually didn't miss anything. You are going to see me go ahead and make up my own line there because it just didn't look right. So again, it's your project. You can do whatever you choose. It's not a right or wrong. The stencils are intended to give you a starting place and kind of a format to start with. So you can kind of use them as you wish. And they're just finishing up the last little bit of that. I decided that I really liked the purple that was peeking through where I'm pointing there from my jelly print, which I had made many, many months ago. And so I decided to go ahead and apply some of that purple. It's dioxazine purple in a high flow acrylic by Golden. I'm going to drip it. I spritz some water. I'm going to drip it down. It turned out as I did this that the dripping technique here wasn't really all that effective because I did end up wiping a lot of it off. So I technically could have just dabbed the purple here and there on the piece without doing the dripping, but you just never know. So you kind of have an idea about the technique that you want to use or try and see what result you get. And sometimes it doesn't end up being what you were really after. And so that was the case here. My goal here was just to bring out a little bit more purple in the piece. I really like the purple and green together. They're contrasting colors and they really complement each other and they make the colors really pop. So I'm also applying a little bit of that purple on the sides of the canvas, or the panel, excuse me. This is actually a wood panel. So I hope that you'll hop on over to my blog and check out the inspiration for this piece. You can find that at B.Rebornart.com. And here I am just applying my Rembrandt soft pastel to create my edging on the sides. I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thanks so much.